out unless I approve them. Well, except to you all.
So can you recommend a plan today that would be
Plan
fair,
one- Plan
fair to
one.
all the people and meet the laws of the courts?
Plan one will, you're not going to get a better plan than Plan one if I haven't missed something that you guys want. Now, Mayor, Council, if you look at this plan, or if you look at Plan one and decide you want to tinker with it some, you gotta be careful about tinkering, but we'll give you a response. If you call and say, hey, can you do this or can you do that? We'll look at it and give you a telephone call and say, yes or no. But, so if you all decide you look at Plan two, and you say for any reason, you like any line better, or if you want us to take something and see if we can do a little bit different, we will do it and provide it with you and make sure before we provide it that it will comply with the legal requirements. But again, with some of the difficulties I had 10 years ago, getting this original thing put together, I think Plan one is as good as you can possibly get. And I think it's consistent with your existing districts, your residents of your community. It meets all the legal requirements, and it's not going to get any better than that. So yes, I do recommend it if you're so inclined to look at it and go there. And I'm happy to answer any questions, obviously.
Does the council entertain action?
What do you think, Tommy? Is this a good plan that you've seen?
Yes. Close as you can get, but, I mean,
I'll make a motion to accept plan.
Well, you need to have, y'all should have a public hearing, notice posted in the paper, and have technically a public hearing, and we will send you.
So does the council need at this time to present all the plans in that public hearing? Do we need to
You
adopt the
could go,
plan and then hold a hearing?
you can go with Plan one if you want to and hold a public hearing on it. And then if you decide to retreat or whatever, get a lot of input or something, call us and we can, but we want to recommend to you, Mayor, that this day and time you have to post a notice in both English and Spanish. There's some notices to post at City Hall, and have a public hearing at least 10 days after that notice is published. Question?
Council have any action?
How do we do this what do we do, Tommy? How do we voice this?
do they select a plan tonight and to oppose?
If you wish to, you can, one of the things you can do is, I recommend we set a public hearing date, give the notices, and consider this plan.
That's the motion I made.
Motion made by Councilman Sayers, consider plan number one, and to call a public hearing to address that. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alton Scott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Let the record show that it is unanimous, sir. There's no comment from the audience during this.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you.
It's been our privilege.
Okay, we have next up, consider approving the following. City Attorney Michael Ratcliffe, would you like to explain this procedure?
The recall petition, which has been verified by the city secretary, the three petitions have been presented. They comprise the appropriate number of registered voters to qualify it as a verified petition for Councilman Adams, Councilman Land, and Councilman Northworthy. Once the petition was filed, within 5 days, the petition itself was called to the attention by the city secretary of the representative, the subject to the petition. Within 5 days of that date, the officer whose removal was sought had an opportunity for a public hearing. Also, the petition was presented to the council, and I believe this was done on the July 27th meeting, is that correct? Once the petition was presented to the council at the July 27th meeting, then the next step, after the public hearing, which was held on last Monday, the next step is for the council to call for the election of the petition. And that is what is on the agenda tonight. Now, once there is a call for the election, the candidate who is the subject for the called election, for instance, Mr. Adams, you could not vote on whether or not the petition for your recall, you cannot vote on that matter. You can't second a motion, you can't make the motion, nor can you vote on it. When it moves from Mr. Adams to Mr. Land, Mr. Adams could vote on Mr. Land's recall petition, but Mr. Land could not vote. You can't second a motion, you can't make a motion. And then likewise with Councilman Norrisworthy. You cannot participate in the vote for the recall petition that you are the subject to. And that is how the order would have to go about. So you have 3 petitions. Each one of them is addressed separately. And the agenda item that is listed is to call for the election. And that is what we are doing at this time, calling for the election. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Attorney, seeing this about 6:51, and we're just not getting information regarding this, how the recall was going to take place. I certainly regret that. I think I'm better than that, and my constituents should have deserved to know sooner than this. I know the recall was in place, I knew that. But far as the city attorney not representing us, but speaking on our behalf, at least letting us know what's going on, it was 0 participation.
Well,
0.
Councilman Norrisworthy.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time the city of Jasper has had a recall. And we have consulted with other cities. We have a time deadline.
Yes, sir.
As with Mr. Scott today, who came to my office, my door is always open. The only thing that I got today was your letter.
Yes, sir.
I would have been happy to explain this to you or any other councilman as to the procedures in which we go about. Where we are right now is the petition has been filed, it has been presented to the council, and now it has to be called for a vote. And that basically is where we are right now. We have retained outside counsel who has been available, not only to me, but I've been Kenneth Walls with Olson and Olson. He has been subject to the recall in Cleveland, Texas, and he has been retained by the city to assist in these matters too.
We didn't vote on him.
He was retained through, and I think an engagement letter has been accepted on behalf of the city manager, who has the authority to do that.
Let me say one thing, Mr. Redcliffe, for the record, and let people know exactly where we stand. Since this ordeal has started, I don't want nobody to go off half-cocked and figure we have had legal representation during this whole process. We talked with Mr. Radcliffe 5 minutes, he called us 5 minutes before 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock when we had our last meeting here. Went back in here like he was briefing us on something that he'd been doing all along. But that's the first time we had any kind of legal representation from anybody, top to bottom, up or down. We have had no representation, legal representation from anyone. Now this charter states that we do all the hiring of attorneys, and we've been stepped on and disrespected every which way you can look at it. Now, all due respect to Mr. Walls, he's here to represent the city. This council represents the city. in every form or fashion.
That's right.
Now, we have never, not ever, spoke to Mr. Walls, or he spoke to us. So now, we want to get that straight now. We want to get that out on for the record. Now, I'll wait my turn. I have a opening statement for the record. And I don't want to go out of order, but that's,
Anything else, Mayor?
Have we not had the opening statements? I mean, that was the purpose of the public hearing the other night, was for everybody to say their say.
The purpose of the hearing was the officers that were subject to the recall was given an opportunity to address the petitions. I talked with all of the councilmen before the public hearing and let them know that the order in which it was going to be presented, we specifically read each one of the petitions based upon each council member, and they were given as much time as they wanted for the public hearing to respond to the comments and to the allegations of the petition.
well, you saying, Mr. Radcliffe, that we've had our statements. Now, let me say, the gentleman here that just left, Mr. Knight, he's going directly against what he just said, what he just told us on. Now, like I said, I have opening statement here concerning this recall petition. I mean, the vote.
I don't think any other conversation is necessary.
Yeah.
Everybody's had their chance to have a public hearing.
Well-
They had 25, 30 minutes piece of the night. And we have on the agenda tonight. Let me say this, Mr. Mann. I met Mr. Wall my first time today. He has been working with the city staff only on the procedure of this. Nobody has been representing anybody with except telling us what the procedure is and telling the staff here when these calendar dates and these things had to be made as the city charter has been interpreted. Mr. Wall and Mr. Ratcliffe both are working for this council and for the people of this town. They're not on either side of this issue. They're simply here as referees to make sure that we do everything legal, so we don't have to come back and do it again or get sued or something.
But should the
Well-
city council had in turn known about Mr. Walls? I mean, we at least do that. If you can look at Charter 4.05, it talks about the city attorney. It says here, the city attorney or such all other attorneys selected by him with the approval of the city council. That's section 4.05 in the charter.
Are you still city attorney?
I am.
Have you not
As
sought,
of
have you not
today.
sought counsel from other council many times on certain
Yes.
issues?
Certainly legal advice from other experts in the field.
Okay, I move that we move forward with the call for vote.
Do you do these one at a time or all at once?
You do them one at a time as far as the call for the election, one at a time. And I think it's listed on the agenda, the order in which you call for the election.
Okay.
Okay, being said and done, item number one is order recall election November 8, 2011. Council member Tommy Adams, District 3.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Sayers. Is there a second? Motion fails due to lack of second. Order to recall election November 8, 2011, Councilmember Willie Land, District 4. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Sayers. Is there a second? No second, the motion fails. Order to recall election November the 8th, 2011, Councilmember Terry Norsworthy, District 5 at large. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Sayers. Is there a second? The motion fails. Okay, up next, consider proposed FHST work group. There was no second, so there's no discussion.
Something I'd like to say, Mike.
No, sir, there's no discussion. Okay, Tommy, would you like to explain this? If there had been a second, then we would have a discussion.
This can be tabled.
It has not passed or tabled or anything.
This is a work group.
I tell you what, Mayor, I respect you and always have, and will continue to respect you. But last week, I'm out of order, and I know I'm out of order. I'm gonna pull the Reverend Harden. I know I'm
You're out of order, and I'm gonna ask you to move on. I'm gonna ask you to move on. You're out of order.
I'm out of
We have
order.
had the item, it has been discussed, there was a motion made, there was no second. So the issue is dead at this point. There is no discussion. Mr.
It may be
Ward,
dead, but however, we're not gonna vote on what I have to say anyway.